Alright, hello and welcome everyone. Just starting up the stream now. Just getting ready. We're going to be playing Hearts of Iron, Millennium Dawn mod. My absolute favorite mod for this game. I have quite a bit of experience playing this. Actually, I think I've played more hours in Millennium Dawn than actual base game Holy 4. To me, it's just the politics of the modern day are far more interesting than the World War II setting. Controversial take, I know. But today, the main goal, what I had planned, is to play as Iran, given the, current global affairs. We're going to be trying to convert them to democracy as soon as possible. Now, it's kind of difficult to do that with Iran, obviously, given how, historically, the Ayatollah has been the leader of Iran since 1979, after the Shah was overthrown. So we're going to be trying to do a bit of an alternative history playthrough, try to suck up to the West, try to improve our economics. As you can see here, if you want to read that, you can. It's just a little brief history of Iran and where it's at currently. So Millennium Dawn starts in the year 2000, and we have elections in June 2001. And it works a little differently for Iran versus other countries, because if you understand any of the politics of Iran, you would know there's the quote-unquote supreme leader of basically the theocracy there, which is, bear with me here trying to pronounce some of these Iranian names. They're kind of difficult to pronounce, but I'll try my best. Khamenei, the now previous supreme leader of Iran. But Iran also, under this government, has a president also. So we have essentially, as long as Khamenei is the supreme leader, and we have the emerging government, we basically will be stuck with that system. So our goal is going to be to go down the focus tree and gradually change over to a pro-Western country. And honestly, Iran is in a great place for economic potential if they were to open up their economy. So we're going to be battling mainly the sanctions from the Western countries, mostly the US and Europe. We may diversify our trade a bit and trade with some more Eastern countries, some countries that are more sympathetic with us. But our goal in the long term is going to be flipping to democracy. So, with that being said, let us get started. Now I'm going to keep it a buck with you. I am putting it on to civilian difficulty, which does make it significantly easier. And the reason I do that is because I honestly, even after like 100 hours of Millennium Dawn, I'm still not quite good enough to play up at regular difficulty. So we are going to play a civilian difficulty. But the main focus of this is kind of my input on politics and global affairs, in addition to the history of Iran and the region as a whole. If you haven't played Millennium Dawn before, I highly suggest it. You can learn legitimately really good information about geopolitics, history, and geography just by playing. I always tell people, the best way to learn geography and kind of gamify it is to play games like this. Either Hearts of Iron 4, Europa Universalis 4 or 5, Vic 3, If you combine your knowledge of all the maps over, EU4, EU5, they start in the 1300s, 1400s, respectively. And then Victoria 3 is during the pre-industrial and then industrial age. And then you play Holy 4 vanilla, and then Millennium Dawn, and you basically cover, 700-800 years of history. So if you really want to learn geography, that's what I suggest. But I digress. Now, for the historical AI focuses, I typically play without it on just because I'm a big ahistorical guy, and it's very fun to me. But for the interest of learning things, I would definitely suggest turning that on. It'll make a lot more sense, and we'll make it work. Before we start, you can see here, the reformists have a crazy majority. This will not last long. They have a daily change of negative 0.08. So, and the Western Outlook has 0.09 positive. So, at this point in the year 2000, the Ayatollah has been ruling Iran for roughly 20 years, 20 plus years. And, people are kind of tired of it. People are tired of the sanctions. People are tired of the oppression. And there's a growing demand for pro-Western governments. So we're going to go ahead and encourage that and see what we could do. Now, one moment, folks. Let me just check to make sure the stream is functioning correctly. There we go. Perfect. All right, cool. We are functioning as intended. Thank you all for tuning in. Let me just get some other things going. Okay. All right, cool. And it seems like we are all set to go. In just one moment. Sorry guys, I don't want to spend too much time just getting ready here, but I gotta make sure everything is functioning properly before I go too crazy here. Let's see. Bear with me, folks. We are almost ready. I can guarantee you that. Alright, cool. We got our first viewer currently watching. What is up, man? Now, I sort of want to wait maybe for a couple people to hop in the stream. Let's see. Opa. Okay, let's see what's going on. Chat, we need some action in here, chat. Where is everyone? Let's see. I suppose it is 2 p.m. on a on a Monday. People are at work, so I do understand that, folks. I do understand. Alright, you know what? Without further ado, let's begin. So we start out, every time you start out on Millennium Dawn or HOE4, it's always an absolute disaster trying to just organize everything at the start. So let us just go through our banners first. We'll get research going. Generally always in Millennium Dawn and HOE4, I always go for tech that increases research speed off the bat. So we're going to go with microprocessors and GPRS, and then we're immediately going to go into construction. And then we're going to go into the genetic engineering. We want some population growth and productivity growth. If you're not familiar with Millennium Dawn, it adds so many new features it's hard to even keep track of, but I can try to sum it up. What is new exactly? The biggest thing for me is the economic system. So here you have your total debt, okay? And then here you have your treasury, which basically acts as your cash on hand. So this is your balance of how much cash you have. And Iran starts, of course, at a deficit of 5.3 billion per month. So then when you open up your economic screen, you get a whole bunch of information here. So we have our GDP right now, only $702 billion, which not bad, nothing to sneeze at. Our GDP per capita is only 11,000. That's only going to go up, trust me. And then our productivity level is lagging behind the rest of the world. You could see down at the bottom. Our productivity is 544 out of 650, a global average. So, of course, we are a bit behind, and that's, you know, this guy's fault. You can, like, essentially, not purchase them. You lease the factory. So you could lease military factories, civilian factories, dry docks. It's very expensive. For some countries, it makes more sense than others. The industrial capacity of Iran at the game start is actually not that bad, so we're not going to touch any of that for now. You can manually kind of steer where people get employed. I don't do that. A lot of this stuff you don't really have to do. These projects are kind of nice. Like, we're going to do this, you know, increases our spending by quite a bit. It's 0.1% of our GDP. So that is, of course, not an insignificant amount of money. And then if you see here, there's a whole bunch of new buildings. I don't even know where to get started with, but you can see here. What I will say for construction, we will start with something simple. We need more civilian factories. We are just going to basically shoot for that immediately. And then if you see here, we produce 67 raw oil. So that's a very significant amount. And a lot of the countries in Millennium Dawn, starting off, oil is a big issue because you're just constantly in a deficit. But for Iran, obviously, if you know geography, you'll know they have quite a bit of natural resources. And all of our peers here also have a significant amount of oil. Now, since we are trying to do a democratic playthrough, we won't necessarily have the opportunity to capitalize on any of our peers here and their oil, because it's the way democracy works in this game is it's kind of difficult to justify a war goal, if not impossible, without events or focus tree stuff. So that does kind of suck. That is the downside of being democratic, is that you cannot be a warmonger, but that is okay because that is our goal. This production is crazy here because you don't start with any small arms production. We're going to boost up the equipment. Yeah, we start with literally no small arms production, which is not fun. We don't like that very much. And then in terms of events, Iran has a lot of unique mechanics. The Iranian president mechanic, like I referenced earlier at the start, is interesting because you get these nice little bonuses that really don't cost you much. They cost some political power daily, but the benefits are crazy. I mean, 0.5 political power daily, and then you get 35% construction speed. You know, it's a no-brainer. This part is kind of an interesting predicament because we do plan on democratizing Iran, but that doesn't necessarily mean we can't have nukes. So we're gonna just go ahead and waste a bunch of money buying all of this reactor grade material. And another thing with Millennium Dawn that they add is this energy system. So if we are in a net deficit of power, our productivity, our construction speed, all of that decreases. So every factory, every building is going to increase our power consumption. So we have to balance our factory production alongside the power production so that we're never in a crazy deficit. And quite frankly, we wouldn't benefit from nuclear power because it's if you look, it's 50,000 construction cost versus 10,000 for a fossil fuel power plant. And we have so much oil that it really doesn't make sense to justify building nuclear reactors. So most of our energy needs are going to be met by fossil fuel power plants. And since we are democratizing, we shouldn't have any real existential threat from the West. So that is a non-issue. So we will focus on fossil fuels and renewable energy. We're going to be trying to be very progressive. And honestly, the first step to that in this massive focus tree for Iran, down here are all the different political branches depending on which party you join. Now, I don't know, let's see. We want to go with whatever the democratic option is. Likely Freedom Movement of Iran. These are your political parties, by the way. It gets real micro here. So these are our pro-Western parties. So we have the Iranian Democracy Front and the Constitutionalist Party, which are going to be probably our best options. So if we look here, okay, so this is an option. So we could go down this route. This is not a bad option. This might be the move. We switch to the Constitutionalist Party. We kind of, as far as I can tell, this is, yeah, we could do this. Since we are playing the historical option, it's very likely that George Bush will be elected multiple times. So appeasing the Republicans eventually will definitely benefit us. So I think we'll stick with this as a focus. So we'll try to switch to the Constitutionalist Party of Iran. And there's various ways to do that. And Iran, it's particularly tough because they are very set in their ways. So the first step that I think would be the most beneficial is we'll go with embracing the open market. We'll start the early process of economic democracy. And before we start anything else, we get a lot of these templates here. These templates are very expensive, unfortunately, but we will get some going. We'll just say like a couple for that. Mechanized brigade, they're all very expensive. So we'll try to focus on mostly infantry. We don't want to overproduce too many. We can get some special forces. We won't go too crazy with that either. And I don't want to worry about this too much for now, because honestly, this playthrough, I don't really intend on declaring war at any point. I don't know if it'll even be an option to us, so we won't worry about that. And for me, the easiest way to do this is always just shift-click on the banner here for unassigned divisions, and then right-click here. We have 57 total divisions, so again, nothing to sneeze at. Not necessarily the most well-supplied army in the world, or the most technically advanced, but we will make up for that because we're essentially acting as a purely defensive force, which gives us a lot of leeway in terms of where our military is at. If we spend most of our time appeasing the Americans, we might just survive. Let's do that. Beautiful. Beautiful, beautiful. In terms of our special research, our experimental facilities, luckily we start with many scientists, so we don't have to waste our political power buying them, because it does get very expensive. We don't have any aviation facility yet. We will eventually get that, but it is not a focus. So here's the issue with Iran, is that all the other countries, you're basically, this part right here, you would be able to have a propaganda campaign for all the parties. But since the Iranians are so stubborn, we cannot do that. Okay, perfect. Let's check out our resources. We're doing alright. I'm going to be playing at 5 speed and then pausing when necessary. I don't know if everyone likes that, but that's how I play. Because there's a lot of just waiting around. So, without further ado, let's begin. The USS Coal bombing. That was, I believe, perpetuated by the Sudanese. And then we have this unique mechanic here. So if we want to actually topple the Ayatollah here, we need to get to this side through these and various other events. But you can see here, effects when removed, the legitimacy of the Islamic Republic moves 5% towards the collapse. So we're going to do that. And it thankfully doesn't cost anything outright besides daily political power, which is okay. And it only takes 40 days, so we are going to be spending our time doing that. Now, this may be a long process of liberalization. It's not going to be easy, and there will likely be a civil war. Historically correct. Chechnya was puppeted by the Russians. No surprise there. And we have embraced the free market, and we're going to do this. We're going to ditch the 5-year model. Chechnya has capitulated, no surprise there. For this, we're just going to side with the RGC for now. Eventually, the goal is to obviously dismantle the IRGC. Now, I am going to be spending some of our political power to start decreasing our spending overall. We're going to start with the military spending. We're going to try to tighten up this deficit as much as possible before it just kind of gets out of hand. Because as of now, our debt to GDP ratio is very low, 29%. So it's not really an issue until we hit 100%. And 100% would be roughly 700 billion. So as long as we manage our interest rates and not let it get too out of hand, we should be okay. And switching over to a more open market is going to help us in that respect. We have so much oil and natural resources that, you know, it's kind of silly not to take advantage of it and start selling it. So that's what we're going to do. And here we don't have any more events to do to push it towards the collapse. So right now we just wait until this is going to turn 1 out of 5. We ditched the 5-year model. We just get some nice little bonuses. We're going to continue down this path of economic liberalization. Now we do have a lot of oil already, so I might not focus on oil, but we'll do this. We get fuel gain plus 10%. Duh. Of course. It's a no-brainer. Anything we could do to make some extra money. You know, we're going to break up the slums. We don't want to do anything to increase the party popularity of the reformists, aka the Emerging Outlook Party. And see, this event would move it closer towards the 1,000-year government, so we want to go this option, leading to the collapse. We are spending $1 billion per month on the high police and intelligence funding, so we're going to reduce that, roughly cut it in half. That will negatively affect our stability, but that's okay. I don't expect to have any stability, to be honest, especially with the actual plans I have of collapsing the Ayatollah. So we're not going to worry about stability, as that'll come as a byproduct of democratization, so I'm not worried about that for now. We're going to do this. We want to do anything we can to reduce the popularity of the Ayatollah, which is the Reformist Party. And if you look here, it's already going pretty well. The Western Outlook is gaining popularity very quickly. We will do the debate. Normally I don't do this, but if you look, FOP... okay, alright, maybe not a much better option. The FOP versus the Reformists, they're both evil, I suppose, so that didn't really help, but that's okay. Export quotas, beautiful. We are progressing very nicely. 2 more office slots. Yeah, let's do it. Let's do it. This is my first time ever trying to properly democratize Iran. I've done the hardline Ayatollah route, and that's also very fun. You do this part here. It is very powerful because, quite frankly, if you rush towards nukes, you'd be surprised what you could do, especially early. I had a playthrough where I basically took Turkmenistan, Uzbekistan, Azerbaijan, Armenia. What is this? This is Kurdistan, but which one? The Patriotic Union of Kurdistan, also the Kurdish, Syria, Iraq, Israel, all that. So you know, democracy is not necessarily the best way to play this, but I think given, you know, recent events, I think it's probably fun to explore what would happen if they were a democracy, because, you know, there was a point prior to the Ayatollah taking power in roughly 1979 where, you know, women were free. They didn't have to wear hijabs. They were able to drive. They were able to work, and it was a beautiful time for Iran, but, you know, relatively short-lived in the grand scheme of things. It's been a very long time since there has been freedom in Iran, so, you know, sometimes I wonder. Here we go. So we had the opportunity for some protests. We want to encourage any protests. We want to encourage people to switch over to the pro-Western parties. And we're just going to buy some more reactor-grade fuel. We could do some of these. I don't want to do anything that increases party popularity, but we could do is there anything to increase? Yeah, let's do this. We'll increase ties with the West. It's always good. Maybe, honestly, let's see. Maybe I should consider... Yeah, so the Americans, of course, hate us. Bill Clinton is still president for now. Their election is coming up in November, but we will start improving relations. We just don't want any of the Western countries to attack us prior to us becoming a democracy, before we actually convert. That would not be very nice of them. And here we have our anti-government protest screen. So the green is where the protests are happening and where we don't have control. So ideally we get all of this to green. We don't want to do any of these options. No, we don't want to do any of these options to stop the protests. Why not? We'll increase our ties with the European countries and try to increase our trade already. We got a free dockyard. Honestly, I'm going to start just building more convoys because I don't plan on using my navy at all. I think we just missed those trade options from those trade offers from China, but that's okay. I don't want to align too closely with China, but in the near term, they're going to be our only allies for now. We got some unassigned divisions. We might have some brief border skirmishes with Afghanistan and or Iraq or the Kurds over here, but usually we win those fairly easily, so I'm not too worried about that. Here, we could do this again. Perfect. And you see now we're slowly starting to turn towards this side. And if you look, the bonus here is minus 0.10 daily emerging support, which is going to be very important. They're already losing a lot of popularity daily, so we got a good start. Now, in the event of a civil war, it's going to be very difficult to actually win it, but I'm going to try. There's always a chance I don't win, but we'll see. Maybe we can have proper elections without bloodshed. Here we go. Nice. We got our European Union energy agreements. I guess we'll do some generous subsidies on gas. Oh yeah, what's up, Slick? All right, cool. This is an interesting inflection point. So we have our first civilian research and development breakthrough, which means we can now pick one of these special projects. So this is a very obvious choice here, and I think I'm gonna do it. It may upset some people, quite frankly, but Bill Clinton was elected again. What? Chat. Nothing is quite as it seems. That's kind of crazy. Let's see. So, I said earlier I played this mod for probably, 100 plus hours, and I have yet to see Bill Clinton get elected again in the 2000 election. Oh, you know what? Did he get elected again, or is that... I don't think the inauguration has occurred yet. So Syria's offering us a non-aggression pact. I guess, why not? I don't really plan on doing anything with that anyway. So we can get some more if they accept. So when you have one of these focuses that's based on them accepting an event, it's always important that you actually see that this is the problem. If we did this now, they might not accept, so we're not going to do that yet. This one's not dependent on anyone accepting an event, so we'll do this. 5 building slots is crazy. 1 infrastructure is very nice. 50,000 population, productivity. I mean, this is just a no-brainer. So I actually have not been paying attention to my economy as much as I should have. So we are going to be now decreasing some spending to try to tighten up this deficit, because it is unmanageable at 4 billion per month. A few years of spending at this level is gonna very rapidly increase our interest rate, which we want to keep as low as possible. I don't expect us to ever necessarily make money. The goal is to just balance the budget so we don't lose too much relative to our total GDP. We are going to decrease the welfare. This is a very expensive option, the welfare. So if you look now, look at that, down to 1.4 billion a month. So much better off. There's not much more we can cut in terms of spending. So our additional options are to basically increase taxation. Now there's some caveats with increasing taxation. Taxes use civilian factories, as you can see here. So we don't necessarily want to increase it too much too quickly. It's kind of a slow burn. And it does cost a lot of political power to do, so we're not going to worry about it too much yet. So now this is an interesting, it even says at a breaking point or an inflection point. We could either increase the revolutionary volatility, which will lead to a civil war, or we decrease the volatility and have a peaceful transition to democracy, which is what we want to do. We don't want to do the civil war if at all possible. We'll do some of this infrastructure spending. That's okay. Let's see if we have any new options here. Not particularly. Okay, nothing crazy here. We no longer have those options for... Let's do that. And we are absolutely trying to avoid any bloodshed. That's not what we want. I think we're moving pretty quickly towards democracy. I'm trying to do it as cleanly as possible. Let's see, we could reduce our interest rate or increase. See, the interest rate's gonna fluctuate regardless, so I might as well increase our tax efficiency. We will let him be, and we may soon be transitioning. There we go. It is happening. Everything is going swimmingly. Trans-Levantine pipelines. Levantine? I don't know how you pronounce that, folks. We can get an extra 20 oil production plus... Oh my gosh. Okay, so we'll be up to like roughly 92 oil, which is just silly. But it's also going to be... here we go. In the early hours of the morning, the office of the Supreme Leader announced a temporary relocation of the government to somewhere outside of the honorable borders of Iran. In other words, the government has fled. To many in the streets, this was the Islamic Republic's way of formally resigning. After decades of rule, the Islamic Republic has finally lost its grip on power. The people have flooded the streets, toppling monuments, tearing down portraits, and celebrating. The corridors of power lay dormant, with whatever comes next being unwritten. And my friends, this is always the difficult part of regime change, is that in the absence of the previous ruler, there's a vacuum where everyone is vying for power. So our nation is especially vulnerable right now to outside influence. But it is a glorious day, for we have done it. The collapse of the Islamic Republic. Beautiful. And we lost some ideas because we are no longer the Ayatollah, and that's okay. That was the goal all along. And now, let's see what we have. Alright, we got a non-aligned. So, while we didn't get a democracy quite yet, we at least unlocked... I just completely missed that. The U.S. has lifted its sanctions. So now that the Ayatollah is no longer in power, we are allowed to do business with the West, which is going to be massive for us. The American sanctions against us were crippling, to put it lightly. So now that we actually have this election function, well, technically we don't have elections yet, but we can change that, I believe. Yeah, so we can now allow democracy and elections in Iran. So now we can start. Oh, look at this. IRGC High Command flees to southern Lebanon, perhaps to flee persecution, judgment, or shame. Most of the High Command of the Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps have fled to southern Lebanon, with the most loyal pockets of men fleeing to the eastern countryside. Look at all that. Gone. They're all gone. It's beautiful. Now, we lost some of our military, and that's to be expected. The IRGC is essentially the military and political command of the Iranians. So that's okay. We no longer really rely on our military at this point, since we are transitioning to a democracy. And the biggest part is now we can do these propaganda campaigns, and this is going to give us daily pro-Western support, plus 10. And if we have additional political power, we can also manually manipulate the political parties by boosting their popularity here. So we will be slowly kind of doing that. Now we can change our flag. Now, you know, this is an interesting... I think, you know, even though that we're converting to democracy, I think we'll go with the lion and the sun flag, just because to me that feels so... It's so classic. It's such a nice flag. We'll do that. Ayatollah Montazeri's national address. Look at that. So he is a zealous. So he's a religious zealot. We definitely don't want to increase their popularity. New prime minister. Beautiful. There we go. We're just kind of chilling. Now I'm going to do something that may upset some of the world, but actually before we build that enrichment facility, look at that. We have Al Gore became president. That's, you know, that's certainly something. Again, I've never seen Al Gore become president in Millennium Dawn before. It's kind of hilarious to see. kind of very funny. We'll see what that means for them. I don't know, but the good news is, with a Democrat in power in the U.S., that typically means better relations with Iran. So we might be able to benefit from that. We can appoint a new prime minister. Let's see. Cool. We also completed this. Where is it? Yes, we got our extra oil production. Look at that. We're up to 83 from 70 previously, so that's pretty nice. We're going to get an additional 5 oil, also some power plants. That's okay. We could spend some money. I'm not opposed to it. Let's see if there's any other fun stuff. Not particularly. Here we go. We can now pick our Prime Minister. So we're going to look for something that gives us daily pro-Western support. And ideally something that industrial complex construction. See, this is pretty nice. We're going to do this guy. From the Liberals. Okay, that's fine. Cool. And now we get some cool options. Oh, very fun. Very fun. Okay, so I don't like that very much. I don't like that. I do like this though. So there's a small chance that we don't get anything from that, but it's worth the risk. We're going to start researching naval nuclear engineering as our special project. And our propaganda campaign is still happening. Excellent. No, we're absolutely not going to influence Syria. Okay, cool. Oh, look at that. We have another available special project. We're going to do the Fire and Forget anti-tank guided missile. That's what ATGM stands for. That's essentially like your... not a Stinger, but a... oh, geez, I forget what you call it. But essentially your man-pads. So we could propose... railway project with some of our northern neighbors in the Caucasus. Fine. Azerbaijan, Armenia, and Georgia up there. We're definitely not going to attack the pro-Western outlook. I'm going to invite them and risk it. Okay, didn't like that very much. So our next election is in 4 years, so we have plenty of time. Oh, wait a second. The election results were actually inconclusive, so we can actually force the Constitutionalist Party to try. We have a 39.6% required strength to form a majority government. So what we can do is we can invite these fellas. Ooh. Well, we have to do it. It's not ideal to have the non-aligned in a coalition with us, but they're very quickly losing power. We're very quickly gaining power. So we can now switch to an economic boom, which is going to cost us like $50 billion, but overall it'll be worth it. We definitely don't want to switch to that. Can I not? Because, okay, I haven't completed the research. That makes sense. We're going to switch to an export economy. Allow some more resources to market. We're already making $1 billion extra. That's fine. We'll do that. We have some unassigned divisions. We'll just randomly assign them. We got construction. We can do the next construction. The Caucasian. Georgia has agreed. Azerbaijan agreed. All of them agreed. Okay, cool. So we get some railways going up there. Here we're going to spend about $20 billion on more infrastructure, and that is a-okay with me. Factories are doing well. My goal is to have roughly 30, civilian factories working on purely construction at a time. We will increase our research speed, of course. We start at a pretty severe deficit in research speed, obviously, because The Ayatollah is not exactly the most progressive group of people in the world. We can't quite... Oh, we do have a new leader. I should have noted that before. Dairush Homayun. I feel like that was pretty good pronunciation, I think. I don't know, actually. Israel proposes Cyprus Accords. The Israeli government proposes a friendship agreement between Israel and Iran regarding defense and political affairs. This is very funny, but since we are a Western-aligned government, we will. So, Israel's actually going to guarantee us, and we're also going to get a non-aggression pact, which, obviously, this is a very big delineation from reality, because, as you know, Israel and Iran are mortal enemies, but in this world, nope, we are friends. I'm not going to increase taxation until we get some more factories built, because, like I said, tax does cost civilian factories, and our deficit's not bad anymore, just based on cutting spending. So, here we go. We have our first border conflict with the Taliban in Afghanistan. Your units automatically get a... no, they don't. Well, I don't know what's happening here. Hold up. Oh, no, they do. Okay. Okay, I misread this. Okay, so we are fighting that just fine. We will win that. We will do maybe something like this. These are not great bonuses. This is mainly just improving relations with our neighboring countries, which, you know, the bonuses from that are not going to be as immediate as other focus trees, but that's okay. We'll do this just because I do want the daily pro-Western support. I mean, at 0.12 a month, we're very quickly going to become the dominant party within Iran, so that's good news. That means for the next election, we won't have to, ideally, we won't have to be in a coalition with the non-aligned fools. Ideally. And we're not going to do a debate. Don't feel like doing a debate. We will do this. This just gives us more relations with some of our neighbors. I'm gonna do some reorganization here. Get these fellas some of this. And, you know, sorry, Chad, if I'm not necessarily explaining every little thing I do. It would be very painful to watch if I did. This stuff, I mean, there's no point in really reading it, but all this is just research speed, basically. That's all you gotta know. We're gonna start by researching mostly research speed enhancing and then construction stuff, and then we'll go into more, you know, the military tech, the satellites, because if you go here, there is a space program, so we can produce orbital launch vehicles here. Actually, we should do a couple of these. So we can build a couple. We're going to build 2 of these orbital launch vehicles. We are going to build about 5 of these. It's not going to make sense why I'm building 5 of these yet, because this is a very complicated system, but just trust the process. 5 of these, 5 of these. So these are our communication satellites, or spy satellites, and then the global positioning satellites. We don't have any GPS satellites yet. We don't have it researched, as you can see. Eventually we will. Kill sats are kinetic warfare, anti-satellite type things. We're not going to mess with that, of course. This is where you actually conduct the launches. So you can select whatever orbital launch vehicle you want there. Then you go just number of flights. You add the payload, which are your satellites, which we currently have none in stock, of course. And then you check here, and it'll list all your satellites. I mean, here it gives you a better kind of overview of what we're looking like. And as of now, we only have literally 2 satellites total. So, not much going on in terms of that. We will negotiate contracts, which give us building slots in an office building. And we will continue. So if you can't already tell, there's so many different things going on. You can get as micro as you want with this. You don't have to be micro, but you know, I really enjoy micro and macroeconomics. I really enjoy infrastructure. So all that sort of stuff is, you know, maybe not the most exciting stuff, but when you actually play it, it's very satisfying. It's always more satisfying to start with a poor country or an underdeveloped country and make it into something than it is to actually start with a big country like the U.S. So honestly, this is like, do we partner up with, well, I mean, what option do we go with? So we can either focus on more oil production, which honestly, I'm just gonna max out oil production. The other stuff doesn't matter as much. Do we allow Afghan refugees? Personally, I would say no. Send them back. But if you look at our negative 15% net migration rate, we want to kind of correct that. Yeah, let's do that. The Islamic Emirate of Kurdistan has nullified their debt. Not good for them. This stuff, I mean, I do actually want that. Monthly productivity growth is amazing. We could do another pro-Western propaganda campaign. After that, we're not getting, okay. We're just going to keep focusing on more oil production. Energy is fine because we could build more energy production. We cannot build more oil refineries. So, okay, so Israel has struck Syria. I'm absolutely not going to join the sanctions because, as you know, I have a defensive pact with the Israelis. So I would like to keep it that way. Not involve myself in frivolous sanctions on our own allies. It doesn't benefit us in any way. Establish support in Yemen. Interesting. I mean, sure, why not? The Patriotic Union of Kurdistan has nullified their debt. Does not concern us. Now, at this point, I will slightly increase the tax rate. And we're going to do it on... So if you increase the tax rate on the population, it decreases the stability. So I'm going to instead focus on taxing the corporations first. And they are at a much lower tax rate. The debuff from increasing the tax rate on corporations, I don't think is as bad as the population tax rate. So what happens when you increase the corporate tax rate is it increases your monthly productivity growth. So, you know, and it's 2.33, which is fine. We are, of course, kind of lagging behind on the global scale, but that's to be expected. And if we look here, we are not going to get involved in that. Our deficit is getting very low now. And we're using slightly... See, I'm going to wait before... Oh, if I could just... You know what? We'll increase it. Let's see. If we increase it 2 more times, our deficit is basically nothing. So we've basically halted our... We've halted the increase of our national debt for now. So that means we can stop worrying about this for now. As long as our GDP increases, our total GDP, our debt to GDP ratio will decrease by proxy. So we got some research done. Perfect. Microcomputing. We'll do improved computing. We'll Legia Petronas. And we're going to do an additional... Look at that. We're back up to 68. So our oil production appears to be lower because I opened up our economy a bit to an export economy, and if you see here, it's just an increase in resources that actually get sold to the market. So we will do this also, and that will hopefully bring our oil production back over 70, which is great because that means we have a huge net positive gain of oil while simultaneously selling 65% of it to the market. So that puts us in a really quite good position. All right. And again, Syria, they're really adamant about me joining these stupid sanctions against my own ally. No way. This is funny. Nuclear warhead program. Let's go. I don't know what I am. I'm playing a game, right? But I don't know what I am allowed to say without me getting like shadow banned in the live stream, because this is obviously touching on real geopolitics. So I don't know exactly what I'm allowed to say and not say. But you know, fuck it. I guess I don't really give a shit. I am going to speak the truth on the matter. And the truth of the matter is that we are virtually fully converted to democracy at this point, which actually means if we go back over here, we can finally start this now that the Constitutionalist Party is in the coalition. So this is only this path is going to further increase the popularity of the Western Party. So that's exactly what we want to do. We're going to get down to here, and we'll get all the benefits of being pro-Western and democratized. Already it's going very well for our economy. We are no longer in a deficit, which means, oh, look at that. That's nice. So this income is going to fluctuate, but as of now, that's a nice profit. So it's quite nice when you get your economy to start making money and you no longer have to worry about your debt. And so this is fine. This is fine. We will increase our police spending because that's going to increase our stability. We just completed this. A nation of Shahs following several decades of exile. Pahlavi. Pahlavi, if you know about current politics or history, Pahlavi, as far as I know, is the exiled prince of Iran. When the Shah was overthrown, the Ayatollah took over, and the Shahs basically fled to Western countries. So now they're back, which is interesting. That's not quite what's happening in real life. In real life, the Shah is not seen as someone who could realistically return to power, just because he's been living in exile for so long that, you know, many of the Iranians don't necessarily either know who he is or really respect his authority, since it's been so long since the Shah has been in power. So we're just going to start doing some of this stuff now. And it's going to be really quite beneficial to us to increase this tax cost overall. We are in a bit of a deficit once again. It just shows you how fluid the economy of this nation is. I don't want to necessarily increase the taxation quite yet until we get a couple more factories. We're not spending much over our budget now. Oh, we're not getting any more of these convoys because we're actually out of steel. And the nice part is, you know, since we are Western aligned, we can trade with the US. So that solves that. And now, yeah, look at that. All right, we're going to get some convoys going. Beautiful. Let's see. What can we do here? Anything interesting? Not quite. Do that. Do a little propaganda campaign. Increase the popularity of the pro-Western party. Our orbital launch vehicles have almost been constructed fully. Love to see it. Cool. We can get our satellite system going very soon, which is always exciting. It's not necessarily the first thing you think of when you think of Iran. They're not known for their satellites, but in this world they are. Loose coke of democracy. Okay. Israel has canceled their non-aggression pact with us. Why did they do that? We still get these permanent negative modifiers historically with Israel, even though we have improved relations so much. I'm going to improve relations again and get that back up to hopefully equilibrium or zero at least. I don't want them to hate us. I also don't necessarily expect them to love us. And our orbital launch vehicles are almost done, which means we could do our first space launch. Look at that. Beautiful. Now I can show you how this works. So we have our 2 orbital launch vehicles in our inventory. And our first flight, we have 5 of these satellites here. Let's see how many we can fit on here. We got 3. Okay, we can do... Alright, we can fit 3 at once, which is a-okay with me. Now, of course, there is a reliability rating here, so there is a small chance, a 30% chance, that this doesn't work. And I think that is exactly what happened. I think that launch failed. So, we just lost a bunch of them. Let's try it again. Wow, did both of those... Okay, so seemingly both of our... wow. Wow, okay. I didn't expect both of them to not work, but in that case, we will just... well, we have no choice but to build 5 more of these. And I'll build another 5 of these in case the next launch doesn't work. And folks, I will be right back. Just one moment. I'm going to use the restroom. Not that you need to know that, but it's in the interest of full transparency. Hello, folks. I have returned after our failed orbital launch. Apparently, I mean, they have a... It was supposedly a 30% chance of failing. Ooh. Let's see. So let's do this now. We're just going to kind of work down this constitutionalist tree here. See what we can do. Now, of course, like I said previously, since we are democratic, we're not going to be able to really declare war. The exception to that is if a country generated world tension, which you can see up here at the top right. If they have generated world tension, we can justify a war goal upon them. With that being said, given where we are in the Middle East, it's very likely that somebody here will generate world tension. If you click on it, you can see who exactly is generating world tension. Unsurprisingly, in this year, 2002, since the war on terror has been declared by the U.S., the U.S. is currently generating most of the actual world tension. Israel keeps conducting military strikes on Syria, and that's because, if you look over here at Syria, there is a bit of a civil war going on. So you have the previous government, which is Bashar al-Assad, and then you have this new, more moderate government up here in the north. Now, I can't really justify supporting either aspect of that at this point, but the opportunity is there to do that. See, they're asking for a debt bailout now, and we can't afford it. So at some point, we started spending much more money than previous, and I'm a bit confused on exactly why. Now, it's likely that we are just not getting some buff that we were before. Oh, wow, this is so much political power. That is a wild number. So once we get some more factories go, when traded good. Oh, I see. We're back up to 12 there. We can increase the tax rate a bit more. There we go. Cool beans. Is the resolution okay, guys? I think it is. Let me see. Okay, it's 1080p 60 FPS. Oh, that looks pretty good. Okay. It's kind of tough to stream HOE4 just because there's so much text if your resolution's not high. See, this is the perfect opportunity for us to actually finally declare war on someone. So we could, since Armenia nullified their debt, we could get a puppet focus, which we will do. Since we can't otherwise generate war goals unless someone's generated world tension, that's basically the best way we can do it for now. Oh boy, we've got a lot of research completed here. We'll start getting these excavation researches done. And then, honestly, we'll go fuel refining. That's nice. That's nice. Frameworks of liberty, let's see. We always want more daily pro-Western support, so we will do that. And then let's see how long we have this war goal for. So we have this puppet focus for an additional 2 years. So we have 2 years to prepare for a war against Armenia. If you look at Armenia, very small country, of course. And then we're going to check out the resource map mode, and we're going to see exactly what we could get here. So Armenia proper, which is this, not much, but not bad. We definitely need it. And then this country here, Artsakh, I don't know how you pronounce that, but this must have been a country released by Armenia somehow. And if we check here, we see that Armenia doesn't have any, it's not guaranteed by any other country. Because sometimes you run into the issue up here in the Caucasus where Russia will guarantee or annex Georgia or Azerbaijan. We don't want that. We do not want that. So we will start making preparations to fight this war. And that, very simply, will be basically this should be very, you know, always easier said than done, but Armenia is very small, and we only share this tiny little sliver of a land border with them. So we're going to post up our troops, some there, right here in this little, technically the only pathway into Armenia for us. We'll get ready for that. Beautiful. I don't necessarily anticipate us needing more than that, but just for the sake of preparedness, I'll have additional armies ready in the case we do need it. Now our armies are much more balanced. We're going to take one of these units and then just to round that out and make it nice and good. And then we go here. We got our additional research slot because, so essentially instead of, in Hoi 4 Vanilla, you basically unlock research slots by going down the focus tree. But in Millennium Dawn, the way you get more research slots is by unlocking these achievements within your economy, essentially. So our next goal is a GDP per capita of 20,000 or a GDP of 2 trillion. We are much closer to the 20,000 GDP per capita mark than we are the 2 trillion GDP. And since we have so long to prepare for this war, we can kind of not stress. I think, let me see, we only have 30 planes here, we have 33 planes here. We're going to move some of our planes from Tehran over to Tabriz. And then once we're in Tabriz, what do we have here? We have a light just a light, okay, that's a MiG-29. So we're going to have him flying on air defense, or air superiority rather. We have some heavy lift aircraft here, these Russian planes. This is the Antonov 72, I believe, is a Ukrainian produced plane, while I forget how you pronounce that, but the Ilyushin, that's a Russian plane. We're going to get them on air supply, and we can check out our mission efficiency here. It's looking pretty good. So, just like real warfare, we want to establish air superiority as quickly as possible. We could even do some raids in Yerevan on the supply hub. I don't know if there's necessarily any benefit to us doing that, though, at this stage. I don't care what the Israelis are doing. I say, and before Armenia gets any sort of guarantee from anyone else, I bet we should just do this. And honestly, in Hoi 4 or Millennium Dawn especially, I think it's better to actually puppet a country rather than annex it outright. There's some interesting mechanics with compliance and such with non-cores that just make it kind of a nightmare, when you could just kind of reduce their autonomy every month and slowly integrate them. It's a much better option, I would say, overall. The war has begun, and this is our army that's on this front here. So what we're gonna do, very simply, we're gonna draw our offensive line. We're just gonna do this. Now, you know, don't kill me for this. I honestly, oh we are losing that. Awesome. Let's get this other army over here quickly. Worry not, my friends. I have faith that we will be perfectly okay. Statistically, very, very, very low odds we could lose this conflict. Losing a single battle is not the same as losing the whole conflict. Now, is the issue perhaps that we don't have air superiority? No, we do. We don't have any close air support flying, though. That could be it, actually. We got a multi-role fighter, and they have enough range to do that. Beautiful. We can move some more planes into Tehran. Let's do that now. And we have some air superiority fighters. We'll get them. I think we have air dominance, so we don't need more of that, but we need more close air support, certainly. Do more air superiority with them. Light multi-role, we'll do close air support. Now let's see, the close air support mission of... So it's definitely improving... Yeah, it's improving our... Yeah, okay. That was the issue, folks. We just didn't have close air support, which... Honestly, rookie mistake on my part. There we go. We're pushing through finally. And we'll get these fellas to help out. We'll do a similar plan with them. They'll push together. There we go. Now we are pushing through. Ah, beautiful, beautiful. Oh, there we go, folks. There we go. Overall, not bad. The initial defeat in this theater was my fault. And they capitulated just like that. I mean, Armenia is a very small country, so it didn't take much. Our goal was to puppet them, so we are going to puppet Armenia. Like I said, I think this is generally the best option rather than a full annexation. Submit our demands, confirm an exit, and Armenia was puppeted. Beautiful. And that does generate a small amount of world tension, and that's okay. That is beautiful. We haven't ever set up our infantry production since we last checked it out, so we will change that. I don't want to go too crazy though. 12, 14. Okay, sure, that works. Our military production is quite poor at this stage. We've been focusing predominantly on the civilian production. I mean, it is only 2003, mind you, and we already have puppeted Armenia. And so basically why I say it's always better to puppet a country rather than outright annex it is that you get this fun little feature here. So as long as you have at least 5% influence in the nation, you can reduce their autonomy every 30 days. And if you go here to your subjects view, we only need 625 more autonomy, less autonomy, I suppose, to make them into a puppet. Because right now as a satellite, you could see these buffs here, we only get 25% of their factories. Obviously not ideal, so we're going to be trying to decrease their autonomy over time. We got some improved computing. We're still ahead there. I do want to get some more satellite technology going. We'll get that first. And 5 of those satellites, 10 of them. Okay. Beautiful, beautiful. And we just kind of chill. Our GDP is gradually increasing. I think since the year 2000, we've increased our GDP by about $400 billion. And if you look, our interest rate is not that high. So we've been doing a pretty good job managing our budget. Our deficit's less than $1 billion a month, which is certainly more than manageable. We will root out the money laundering. All this stuff is just increasing our tax efficiency. And you can see we're using a significant amount of our factories just on taxation. So, I hate to see it, but that's the name of the game. And we'll get some more civilian factories queued up. And the nice part about being democratic is that we don't really have to worry about our military production. I mean, it's of course always an issue because, you know, we want to protect our domestic independence, but it's a little bit less existential than it was previous. And if we look, let's see, do we have any good relations with them? We have, okay, mediocre. mediocre relations with some of the Western countries. And I think that'll improve over time if I had to guess. Let's see, if we do this. Oh. Fuhud Pasha as the... Okay, cool. We just get some nice more bonuses for the taxation. Which, God knows we need. That will likely increase the amount of factories I use, but we are going to tighten up this deficit a little more. That used a lot of factories. I hate that so much. I cannot produce factories quick enough. So not only do we need the factories for, you know, just building, but we need it for additional taxation, and we need it to trade resources that we will eventually need, because I want to grow the military to be, you know, pretty substantial. Even though I said we don't need it, I still want to grow it and invest in technologies. Turkey proclaims victory over the PKK. Good for them. Honestly, good for them. The PKK, no good. Has national spirit invite Reza Paba. So now this is an interesting sort of bifurcation, you may say. So we could either increase our odds of a more plural government, or we could really go down the monarchist route. And honestly, it's a very tough decision to make. Man, do I invite the former prince? That's a hard decision, but I think I will invite the prince back. I'm gonna do it. We're gonna go monarchist. It's an interesting route. Actually, not... Wait, no, I can't do... Oh, no, I did it already. All right, well, yeah, you know, folks, I did say democracy, but technically it's a monarchy with elections. So, make of that what you will. But I think he only acts as prime minister. Let me see. Can I now appoint him as a prime minister if I do this? I don't know yet. We just unlocked the next level of orbital launch vehicle. Very nice. I'll start on this first. Turkey offers investments, of course. Yes, please, Turkey. We'll get some of these going. Get 2 of these built. We really got to get some satellites going ASAP, chat, ASAP. And I've had nearly full political power this entire game, which is so wild, because if you play as the Ayatollah, it's constantly a battle. Constantly. Here we go. So we could either... There we go, he's here. Very old photo of him, but that is, you know, it's well, let me see. So there are technically they're technically nationalists. It makes it a little more complicated, to be honest. I think our original goals are still valid, though. I think we could still say we are roughly democratic. It's a little suspicious, I'll be honest, but you know, it's close enough to democracy. I mean, we don't have full-on autocracy, so that's a good start. Cool. Cool. I don't particularly want the nationalists to get too much power. Yeah, it is an interesting little predicament I put myself in by doing that, I'd say. I don't want to lock myself into the monarchy, but I'm not opposed to it. Guys. I know I said we're going for democracy, but, you know, sometimes you hit some speed bumps along the way and you accidentally become a monarchist. It happens to everyone. Trust me. Now these guys aren't generating any sort of world tension, so I can't do much about that. We could... Let's do it. We'll become global interventionists. And that only requires 15% world tension. And of course, them to generate some. So, it'll be easier if we wanted to declare war on someone in the future. And we finally got our civilian satellites going, our GPS. New class or phone, we'll do that, sure. Now, let's focus a little bit on that more. We can get another upgrade. So we hit our 20,000 GDP per capita. We're at 21,000 to be exact. Our debt is okay because our... You know, it's interesting. I was making significantly more money before, and then it just seemingly disappears. Maybe due to unemployment, though. I wish there was a easier way to increase our employment, but it's kind of a slow process. We have more factories, which means more taxation. We will wait to see how many factories it actually uses up before I increase it much more. I like to have about 30 civilian factories working at any given time. Seemingly hasn't updated yet. There we go. Okay, it's at 23, so we use 3 factories for that. There we go. Now we're making a profit. And our unemployment is going down actually pretty rapidly, so all is well on the Western Front as of now, chat. Let's see. We can once again reduce autonomy. We can do a little pro-Western propaganda campaign. I don't necessarily want to pick a new PM yet. Honestly, research speed is always good. We now can make a donation to the Republican Party of the United States, and we will do that. We'll do just that. Please be our friends. Now, I want to do this, but since it is an event dependent on them accepting, I'm going to increase my relations before I go through with that. Let's see where we're at in terms of relations. So that event to donate to the Republicans wasn't all that useful considering Al Gore is the president and the Democrats are in power. So that didn't necessarily help us much, but that is okay. We will increase relations manually. We got an extra research slot, which I'm going to start with, let's say, 4th gen light aircraft. And this means we can lower the autonomy of our subject Armenia for the first time, making them a puppet. And you can see we get about 25% more of each of these buffs. So every time we do that, we're making significantly more from our puppets. We'll go here and we'll assign you a general. We'll start training. I don't necessarily know if these guys really... I think they max out at... It's either 5 or 6, I want to say, from drilling alone. Let's see what we got here. Nothing. Okay, cool. We got that excavation done. We'll do the next one. Fuel refining, all going well. We'll do the next stage of that. We got the next level of that. Boom. Done. Rapid progress here. And this is another, let's see. We could either do that. Well, that is pretty nice, I won't lie. We can always build more infrastructure later. We'll go with the guided hand approach. We'll get some very nice buffs from this. And let's check it. Alright, we have a small deficit, nothing bad. We somehow have an additional military factory. I have no idea how. I'm not going to question it. If you notice, we're also not producing any utility vehicles, so I'm going to add that. Love to see it. Cool. We can reduce our autonomy in Armenia. We can not do that. Okay, cool. And honestly, what I'm waiting for mostly right now is for our orbital launch vehicle to finish its production. See, I wish we had a border with Lebanon, because I have no realistic way of doing anything with that. Now, it is possible that I don't think I could have... If I launch ballistic missiles at them, I could probably get them to capitulate without actually occupying any land, but it seems like more trouble than it's worth, honestly. Let's see. We got more of this. We'll produce 5 more of these. We'll be done very quickly. Guided hand approach is done, which means we can finally do this. And our monthly productivity growth will actually be positive for the first time. I always decline these corruption corruption offers, man. Jeez, what a tongue twister. I'm saying so many words today that are just so easy to fumble. I haven't had enough Diet Coke, clearly. We don't have enough influence in Armenia right now to reduce their autonomy. Let's see. We will auto-influence them. We're not going to subsidize Armenia. Fuck them. Fuck them. Okay, cool. And that's not cool. The US has attacked Iraq. It is finally happening. I don't care. Let the coalition forces take Iraq. That is fine by me. We'll get some more research on these computadoras going. And do we get Iraq? We did. Okay, cool. I'm gonna start more production on that. So now that we have this guy, finally, maybe we can actually get some satellites into space. 1, 2, 3. Can it fit 4, please? Okay, we can do 4 of these at once. once again, seemingly all of them failed. Is it possibly because my launch mass is too high? It might be. I might have been overloading them, which very annoying, because now that means I need to make many more of all of these. So I need to make at least 5 more of these pages. We'll start that. That's fine. So we need how many of these? So we want to get about 5 of each of those types. SMJ. Okay, now we wait. Now we wait, my friends. Some people say a man is made out of mud, blood and skin and bone. A mind that's weak and a back that's soldier load. 16 tons. What do you get? Another day older and deeper in debt. To Saint Peter, won't you call me? 'Cause I won't go. I owe my soul to the company store. Down, 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 down. Some people say a man is made out of mud, muscle and blood and skin and bones. A mind that's weak and a back that's old. Your load 16 tons. What do you get? Another day older and deeper in debt. To Saint Peter, don't you call me, 'cause I can't go. I owe my soul to the company. Alright, sorry, I was stimming. We are kind of just waiting and watching. We'll wait and watch. What do we got here? There we go. How are we doing on factories? Oh, beautiful. We are getting them back very quickly. It's going swimmingly, I would say. Well, since when did they switch to Great Armenia? That's, oh, because they're nationalists. That's, well, it's kind of cool. I won't lie. Great Armenia. It is a, unfortunately, very cool name. I'll give them that. Oh, we got CRISPR. Fun. Now we can splice in various pieces of DNA to alter someone's DNA itself. Okay, we can finally do this. This is gonna increase or decrease our interest rate by a ton, which is very good news. We can get some of these. I think we already got some of these, but we'll make more. We'll make more of these too, why not? Oh, look at that. We actually have extra civilian factories at this point. Now the question becomes, do I want to build more civilian factories, or... I mean... yeah, we're gonna need more of them. We're gonna need more. Oh, you know what? Actually, instead of doing that, I'm gonna get some regular fossil fuel power plants going. Can reduce some more autonomy there. Ah, Israel has... no, I don't know if I want to do that. That would be a disaster. As much as I want to, I'm not even gonna get into that. It is unfortunately too real. Our balance is positive, thankfully. And we have essentially finished the entire tree here for... So they're more likely... So we're going to wait to see if maybe a Republican gets elected the next time around before we do this. I don't like that deal yet because I don't know if our infrastructure is really that high everywhere. So we'll go with this. We'll start reducing some of our corruption slowly but surely. And the US and the coalition forces have begun their war upon Iraq and Saddam Hussein. Unsurprisingly, about in 2004. There they go. Very quickly, obviously. There's not much of a resistance from Saddam over there. There's not a damn thing they can do, especially without my help. Okay. Small chance we get another power plant. That's okay. We've been building so many factories that I kind of neglected our power situation. We have a pretty significant deficit here, so our goal is going to be fixing that in the immediate term. I'm going to go this way, reclaim control. I could build an enrichment facility, but that's going to piss off most of the developed world. And I don't know if I would ever use them anyway, so I don't think I'm going to go that route. I don't think we are. Increasing number of bazaar shops. Now let's reduce our interest rate even more. Oh, look at that. Oh, beautiful. So we can simultaneously have a fairly large debt to GDP ratio while also having a pretty low interest rate. Since we are Western aligned, we get the benefits of that economically, which is nice. We're going to go down here. Orbital launch vehicle is not quite done yet. That's okay. Excellent, excellent. We're going to auction off the IRGC companies. Bye-bye. Good riddance. Indonesia's getting up to some bullshit. None of my business, I'll tell you that much. I could not care less what Indonesia is doing right now. Truthfully. Yeah, let's deploy you. Mostly at full fighting strength. Yeah, Iraq obviously capitulated. J. Carter was yeah. You got a provisional American government set up in Iraq. Surely nothing is gonna go wrong, right? Right, of course. Okay. We'll get a new prime minister, I suppose. The time is ripe for change in that department. As long as we get someone who is pro-Western. Liberals. I mean, we want... This guy's pretty great, actually. We'll get him. Not gonna do the debate. Even though one would think I should if I'm trying to be democratic. Democratic but evil. What a concept. I want to try to launch as many of these as possible. Okay, so we got 2 of them up, and that's a dub in my book. We'll get more of these. Now, it would be so clutch. Oh, that worked. Okay, so we were able to get 5 up with only 2 launches. So now we have 5 of these 5-meter GPSs here. And now we need to focus on getting some more of these 2.5 meter. So we need 5 of the SMJ-20s, which we do not have yet. And that's okay for now, I suppose. But that's pretty good news. We got that working at least. Ah, here we go. Okay, we will take more oil production. We can always build more power plants. We cannot build more refineries. If we're gonna get 5 of these, honestly, we'll get 10 of them. Why not? 10 of those. These are fine. We can start researching that. We got excavation. I'm gonna go with the next construction. Now look at that. 97 oil production. Oh my god, you love to see it. Oh my lord. Oh my lordy lord. I'm so happy. We are making so much money. Oh yeah, look at that. Oh my gosh. Okay, so honestly at this point I could even justify starting to rebalance the budget and actually start spending more, not necessarily on military, but I mean our stability is fine, but we can increase it with this police state. And let's see that. Oh shit, I accidentally leased some factories. We're still doing okay with that, so that's perfect. Got advanced computing. We can get some more research speed stuff. We could go maybe, what would I do? Do we go more satellites? We could, we don't necessarily need this tier of satellites yet, so I'm actually going to skip that. But what we could improve most certainly is this, our utility vehicles. We are so behind in technology, military technology specifically. But like I said before, it doesn't matter much because we don't have any threats as far as I know, since we are technically democratic, even though we have a monarchy. I did switch it up a little bit. I confessed I was a naughty boy. But I digress. And if you are just tuning in, we puppeted Armenia in a very short, concise war. We are working on reducing their autonomy, try to make them an autonomous region, which will basically increase the amount of resources that they give us. It's a fairly easy process. As long as you have a little influence there, you can consistently decrease their autonomy every single month. So not much waiting. I don't think I ever explained this, but these little things here, these are rocket sites. So you can select your intercontinental ballistic missiles, your intermediate range ballistic missiles, your ground launch cruise missiles, and your surface to air missiles, which are your, of course, anti-air missiles, or your SAMs as they're commonly referred to as. And now that we have our new Prime Minister, we can check out some of the new things available to us. We can crack down on crime, we can increase productivity, we can get building slots, I quite like this. We'll get some more agriculture districts, and that'll increase our GDP by proxy. So we're getting a nice little chunk of change in our treasury. So if you weren't here earlier, the treasury is essentially your cash on hand. Meanwhile, this is your total debt. They are separate things. You could pay off your debt with your treasury, or you could just start stacking up cash, because a lot of the focus tree stuff costs money. So it's always nice to have cash on hand. And there's, a ton of uses for the money, obviously. You could buy weapons on the market. You can influence people. Definitely want that. And we're just kind of moving down the focus tree right now for the, the economic focus tree. The Concord, I believe, is, as far as I understand it, is like the university system or testing system in Iran. We're going to make it a little more difficult, and we're going to increase our research speed by doing so. Here you see this auto influencer report, and that's because if you click on a country, you go here, this is your influence area. I have 16% influence, and it automatically spends political power every month to influence them towards us. And you could do some pretty powerful things just with influence alone. You could theoretically puppet an entire country without ever attacking them by doing so. And that's a good strategy, especially if you're a democratic country like me. So, depending on what party you play, there's multiple ways to conquer land. If you're playing as more of an autocratic government, like the Nationalists or Emerging Outlook or the Non-Aligned Outlook, it's much easier to declare war because you could just go here and justify a war goal. But as you can see, democracies can't justify war goals against countries that have not generated any world tension. So if there's a neighbor that's acting up, say Afghanistan's acting crazy, and they're generating world tension, I would be able to actually justify on them. But as of now, the only way I can really justify on someone is if they are being naughty. Naughty, naughty. And the only people that have been naughty have been Armenia. And honestly, I didn't declare war on them because they did something bad. They nullified their debt. So they basically defaulted on their debt, and it fires an event that allows you to get a puppet war focus on them. Jordan declared war on Jordan. Just thinking of the Spider-Man meme pointing at each other. Who doesn't love to see a little bit of civil war in the Middle East? It's classic at this point. And we can upgrade our utility vehicle to 1975. Very exciting. Our factories are going off. I've been mostly focusing on producing more factories. Civilian factories, rather. And then eventually I will transition towards more of the military factory production. But as of now, like I said, we don't have any immediate threats, considering we're now close with the West. So we are a bit reliant maybe on foreign powers to protect us, but at the same time, there's nobody to really defend against because we are aligned with the West. If I stayed as the Ayatollah, it would have been certain war with the Americans, and it's extremely difficult to win as Iran because your military technology so far behind, especially in, you start out in the year 2000, but even in 2006, I haven't had the time to even do much military research. I'm starting now. We're getting the 4th gen light fighter, which is going to be like, as far as I understand, that's like your F-15, F-16 generation fighter. So basically, exactly what the Americans had in the 1980s is what I'm now researching in 2006. So that kind of gives you an idea of where we're at technologically. We're just going to keep moving down this focus tree here. just going to keep getting these nice little buffs to our economy. And look at that. We have so much money that I can actually justify paying off $100 billion of my debt. Not that I really even need to, but I might as well. I mean, we got all this extra money. We can do another civilian special project. Atmospheric water recycling. Fine, I guess. It's just a passive modifier. It doesn't unlock anything super special. Trade-wise, we're doing okay. Let's do this. This is going to just decrease our spending on some things. And since we are making money, like I said before, I'm going to start slowly increasing how much money we spend on this type of stuff. We could justify spending significantly more on the military. Doesn't actually cost that much. Ironically, you would think it'd be the number one cost, but actually welfare, I guess unsurprisingly, depending on which side of the political aisle you are on, is very expensive. Ask the UK. Welfare is very expensive. There's crazy benefits from it, though. I'll tell you that much. You get a lot of stability. You get a lot of development. If you can afford it, it's worth it. But I don't think we want to focus on that much. So we can either... So since we are kind of going for a democratic Western line playthrough, I will dismantle the economic monopolies within the country that existed when the IRGC was still in power. So not only are we liberalizing politically, but we are also liberalizing economically. So I have been drilling my units for a long time now, so I've developed a lot of army experience. So I'm going to justify spending some army experience to cut this research in half. And we just got our 1985 utility vehicle. Very exciting. Our production is so slow on that. At 3 a week, do the math, 52 weeks. We're making 200 a year as of now. Not enough. So we are going to need more military factories very soon if we want to compete on the world stage. I am going to... do we go for 3rd gen strategic bomber? No, you know what? We're going to try to focus on making our 4th gen fighters technologically on par with the other countries. So the strategic bombers for us are not going to be as important as like local air defenses. So I don't want to focus on expanding our offensive capabilities as much as I want to focus on defending our own airspace. So if I go to my doctrines, we can kind of work on that now. Well, I don't have 100 XP yet, but you can see we'll go for local space defense versus the other stuff. Doctrine-wise, we're going to try to remain mostly decentralized because seeing as though we are Iran, we function most optimally when we are decentralized. So let's see. Qatar, sorry, not Qatar. Some of these names and words are impossible to pronounce for an English speaker, I swear. I give it a go, but I know I'm butchering it. Wow. Cool. Yeah, so since I've been developing so many of these civilian factories, I kind of neglected our energy production. So we have a pretty massive deficit in terms of energy production currently. But with that being said, we are currently constructing many more of these fossil fuel power plants. And I didn't explain it. I did explain it in the beginning, but if you missed out on that, we're not going to be using nuclear power just because we have so much oil, it's not worth the time spent actually building nuclear facilities. For every nuclear facility we have, we can construct about 5 fossil fuel power plants in the same amount of time. So you do the math on that, and it's pretty logical, I would say. The benefit, of course, of the nuclear power is that we don't have to spend any of our fuel on power. Start negotiations. Mario he, Mario ha, Mario he, Mario ha. Just live your life. Oh, what's up, guys? I don't know how many people are actually viewing, so bear with me if I get kind of quiet. It's hard to talk to nobody. I mean, I do that all the time anyway, I guess. I talk to myself, so overall, maybe not much different. And we have unlocked another research slot for us. I completely forgot about our space mission here. We wanted to get more of these PG. We need about 3 more of them into orbit. And they made it. Okay, cool. So we got 5 of them, 5 of them. That's excellent. Now if we could get... let me start producing more of these before I do anything. We'll get the second level of these, 5 of these. Boom, beautiful. We'll get 5 more of these. 5 more of these. Beautiful. We'll keep that production rolling. Thank you guys for joining me. I appreciate it. We're playing as Iran, trying to... at this point, since the game started in the year 2000, we have already switched to democracy-ish. It's a little complicated because technically we are a monarchy, but I'm being generous by calling it democracy. But we'll pretend it's a democracy. Let's see if these reached... They did. Okay. Perfect, perfect, perfect. Our satellite system is expanding very rapidly. And we just unlocked our 4th gen light fighters, which is very exciting. We still need to work on getting some of these... I mean, we need the modern air-to-air weapons, clearly. It's the most important part of a light fighter is its air-to-air capabilities, not necessarily its close air support. Let's see. Thank you guys for joining me. If you're new here, we just converted over to democracy not too long ago. I'll add the caveat, not necessarily democracy. This guy here, if you know any history, he is the he's the prince, I suppose, of the Shah. So before the Iranian Revolution, his family was in power and they fled. And now, based on the focus trees I selected, he is back. So the monarchy is back, but there's a coalition government since we have a parliament, blah, blah, blah. This is what our focus tree is looking like right now. Where do we want to continue? The focus tree is the question. We could start here, honestly. Solidarity. So do we get... Oh, okay. Okay. So we could be a little evil. We could technically start... Oh, might be a coalition against us. That's fine. We're doing democracy with a few extra steps, guys. Excellent, excellent. Our friends over in Armenia are doing well. They give us their blessings. And we unlocked some new wing forms for our jet. We're not going to quite get into the template designer for the new 4th gen jet yet. Wow, that was kind of... Was that bars? That might have been. Oh, wow, we have so much money. We're going to spend a lot of that. Oh, here we go. This is perfect opportunity. So the People's Republic of Kurdistan has nullified their debt. Since, like I said, we're a democracy, we can't necessarily get war goals easily. Meaning, this is one of the ways to do it. And so we get that war goal, which is going to last about 2 years. Yep, 2 years. I don't know the Shiraz missiles. What type of missile are they? If we go here, the Shiraz. Okay, that's an intermediate range ballistic missile. Okay, cool. That works. I haven't actually upgraded our missile launch sites, so we're not going to be able to stack many in one area, but I don't know if that will be too big of an issue, quite frankly. We could go with more... I mean, let's see. Increase flight range. Just one moment. Alright, chats. We are chilling like a villain. Hey, welcome, welcome. Always glad to see someone join us. We are playing as Iran. We have converted them to a democracy. As you can see, it's beautiful. Almost 51% of the country is pro-Western. It's 2007. We were preparing for a little war with our neighbors here, the Patriotic Union of Kurdistan. Hate to see it, honestly. The poor Kurds, they don't deserve it. But I want that land. And, okay, I was going to justify it by saying they have oil, but it's not actually these guys that have oil, it's these guys. So I am going to be getting, I mean, let's see how much population they have. You know, 1.4 million people, which it's not nothing. It's not anything super useful either, I'll give you that. All of this is basically the same for now. We have enough of these, we have enough of these. Yeah, alright, cool. We can put it that. We get some free missiles. We can upgrade our missile sites. We will do that, certainly. Oh, yeah. Oh, this is going perfectly. Our stability kind of sucks, though. But we've been kind of warmongering, so not all that surprising. Da na 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 na. Mario he, Mario ha. cool. Excavation 4. What do we do now? I would say we should probably complete this, just for the sake of being a completionist. And we got our extra research slot, which we will invest into maybe something like, yeah, we'll focus more on our infantry, try to modernize them a bit. Great Armenia and Iranians memorandum. Sure. Alright, cool. We got some more missile silos now. Yeah, let's get some SHORAD sites. That's basically air defense. Oh, these are all infantry, which I'm not sure how that template would hold up. I still don't know much about the templates in Millennium Dawn, let alone vanilla HOE4, so Iraq requests our support. Absolutely not. We'll do that. We are not producing these power plants nearly quickly enough, but you know, what are you gonna do for now? Just gotta chill. I wanna chill, wanna roll, wanna smoke me a blunt. I wanna get fucked up. What a joke. Let's see. We could become neo-imperialists, but I don't know if we really need to. I think we're fine. Oh, our debt is getting so low. Look at that, down to 517 billion. In other words, only a quarter of our total debt, which is just insane. But that shows you, honestly, the power of democracy and what could have been in Iran if regime change actually occurred earlier. We're going to spend much more on education. Because what good is a prosperous nation, especially a democratic one, if you don't spend the money? And we basically... Oh, did I just immediately put that back? No, I think it's staying. Yeah, what good is all this money that I'm making if we don't spend it? It's not great to stack it up. So I want the deficit to be as tight as possible. I will say we're going to start finally getting into these 3rd gen strategic bombers. I wasn't necessarily focusing on them for a while because we don't really need them, but it would be cool to kind of exert our power further. I'm going to spend some more of this XP. And what I have forgotten to do is that I've forgotten to get the Air Force training. So I'm going to do that now. We have plenty of oil to actually sustain that. We are slowly working on integrating Armenia. Very slowly, I must admit. I can deploy 5 corvettes in the Caspian Sea. Cool. Duh. The Caspian Sea is up here. I'm not sure we're really gonna need them against anyone. Maybe Russia, but I don't plan on really doing anything. Then we're gonna get modern AWACS. AWACS, if you don't know, is essentially like airborne warning and command something. Airborne warning and command. I don't know. It's like the Boeing E-3 Sentry, if you know what that is. Basically just air reconnaissance and radar jamming, that sort of stuff. So we will get that. We're so loaded with money that we can spend a bit more, maybe even on. So if we have a balance of positive 1 billion roughly, that means we can increase our basic hospital subsidies. Let's do that. Armenia wants a dam project. We are going to annex them. We're slowly doing it. They are almost annexed. We just need to decrease their autonomy a few more times. Luckily, that's very easy. The world tension rather has increased a bit, so we might be able to declare war on. Oh, that's who my war goal is against. Okay, so I can go to war with Kurdistan. RIP Kurdistan for what I'm about to do to them. Check this out. So we're going to bring some of our armies here. We have a nice front line there. Then we're also going to get a front line up here on that one single province. And then we did recently get some missiles. We got the Shiraz missiles, which are the intermediate range. So we are going to fire them off. We're going to target anti-air, radar, air bases, network, infrastructure, railways, and supplies. And so if you see here, this is a missile launch site I have selected. And we have our intermediate range ballistic missiles. And I selected the targeting. So I want all of these to be struck. And now I'm going to right click and set them over Iraq. So now once this war begins, oh wait, I forgot we're going to war up here. So once the war begins, these will automatically start firing off. In addition to that though, I want to make sure that our Air Force is operating in the correct theater. So we're going to make sure they're all facing this way, all facing this way. We'll get them facing that way. And we'll get them going there. Boom, 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 boom. Oh, they can't actually reach that far. That's why they're not doing it. Okay, cool. Now, since they're not guaranteed by anyone, we can declare a very friendly war, guys. Very friendly. We're going to stop them from training. We don't want to be doing that any longer. Let's say offensive line. We're going to go just like that. And for you, we're going to go just like that. And we're going to let them organize a bit. And now we are going to execute those plans. And if you see all these explosions here, these are all of my intermediate range missiles being fired. And it's absolutely demolishing them. And we got our free 5 corvettes in the Caspian Sea from the military focus tree I just completed. And I think personally that, let's see, so Azerbaijan's very wealthy. So yeah, Azerbaijan, very wealthy. 80 oil there, or we are going to focus on Azerbaijan. So we're going to go to Indo-Caucasia. And we're going to watch as our fellas absolutely tear through this little tiny country of Kurdistan. Now, if you know anything about the Kurds in real life, this is very painful for me to do. I feel very bad for the Kurds. They're strong people. They've been beat up and bullied by everyone in the region for a very long time now, and it's just not, it's not fair. But what is fair? You know, what is fair in this world? Get some new equipment going. Pro-Western. We should almost be to the point where we can fully annex Armenia very soon, probably in about 2 months. 2 months' time. And this war is virtually over. Just a few remaining small cities. We got into Caucasia. Well, we can't do that. The Syrians are not friends with us. We can get some of these research coupons, though. I'll tell you that much. Yeah, we'll go for camouflage. Why not? After all, very crucial. And our interest rate is virtually 0 because we paid off most of our debt. The status of SN. We will affirm his need for that. Alright, let's do it. Let's do the 4th gen. With the 4th gen medium fighter, I believe... Oh. Oh, this is not very nice. That's very awkward. I wasn't paying attention, and I started losing a front. But not to worry, we will very quickly eliminate that. And that's crazy, they almost encircled us. So embarrassing for me. We will get them to go right here, and we will just do that. Because honestly, that war should be over way quicker. Azerbaijan is going to be our next goal, really. They have an unbelievable amount of oil there. I mean, we already have a lot of oil, but to be honest, I'm greedy. I haven't upgraded this. Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. Oh, we are doing so well on the civilian factories. It's unbelievable. Is this really the last holdout right here? There we go. And now we're just gonna puppet them. Confirm an exit. And they have been puppeted. I'm gonna throw some more factories on this. First of all, ooh, I need to start making more civilian factories. We'll build 10 more of them. Why not? And our power generation, evidently still lagging behind, but that's to be expected. We're going to reduce autonomy. We should be very, very close with Armenia. Yeah, I think in 30 days we'll be able to annex them. Therefore getting access to all of those resources, which we most certainly need. I don't want to necessarily do that yet. Somehow the Kurds, oh, the Kurds are annoying with their autonomy, bro. Okay. Alright, chat. Well, that's going to be it for today. I will be returning perhaps even tonight if there's some interest. But thank you guys so much. I had a great time. I hope you enjoyed it. Tune in for more. I do live stream many different things, whether it's Hearts of Iron or Europa Universalis or Minecraft roleplay events. that sort of stuff. So if you like that, check it out. Subscribe. Stay